Welcome to the watch list. I'm Lindsay Melchuk. Sona Nanotech has recently announced that the complete findings from their previously announced preclinical breast cancer and melanoma efficacy studies have now officially been published in the peer-reviewed scientific journal Frontiers in Immunology. This research article includes new follow-up data, which provides a comprehensive analysis of the immunity activated by Sona's target hyperthermia therapy, THT. My guest today is CEO of Sona Nanotech, David Regan. Let's jump right into it. First off, this is a two-part question. Number one, how does Sona Nanotech's THT utilize biocompatible gold nanorods to induce cell death in cold tumors? And second part to that is, what implications does this have for cancers resistant to current immunotherapies?
Sure. So that sounds complicated, but it's really quite simple, Lindsay. Our core technologies are patented gold nanorods. They're just tiny pieces of metal, gold, that are near atomic scale, shaped like rods. We put them into the tumor. We shoot a laser at them with non-thermal light energy that's tuned to the same wavelength as those little rods. And they start to vibrate and cause heat. Heat kills cancer. We gently destroy tumors from the inside out, and we do it in a selective manner so that there's no other harm done to healthy cells.
That is
Now,
very.
that's the basics of how it works. What are the implications to the standard of care currently goes on right now? Well, there's a drug, Keytruda, which is one of the largest in the world. I think it is the largest in the world. And by Merck's own admission, it works, 21% of the time, depending on the cancer type. And the problem it encounters is that it doesn't seem to work with tumors that are considered cold immunogenic tumors. What we've seen in our data in these preclinical studies is that our therapy is the trigger to not only shrink the tumor, but then trigger the immune system, engage the immune system so that suddenly those tumors go from being cold immunogenic tumors to being hot immunogenic tumors. And those are the kinds that immunotherapies that are used out there as the current standard of care tend to work with.
This is very, very interesting and so insightful just to get, the ins and outs of how that actually works. So thank you for explaining that. What were the key findings from the preclinical studies on breast cancer and melanoma regarding the immune responses activated by the THT? And will these findings influence future clinical applications?
Right. And you're wise to point out we did this assessment in two different cancer models, the breast cancer, a triple negative breast cancer, the hardest kind, the coldest kind. And what we found was that in that model in particular, our therapy eliminated the tumors, and it was profound. And what was very clear was that the immunotherapy that was applied previously did not work. And then our THT therapy was applied, and then we brought back in that immunotherapy, and it worked. So there's been a whole bunch of buzz out there around, well, look, is this THT alone that makes this all happen? Is it just, the magic pill? As with many of the innovations in cancer research, it's how it's applied, when it's applied, what the combination, whether it's used as they say, a neoadjuvant before the standard of care or with the standard of care. What we saw with that, and to an extent with melanoma too, was the reduction in size of the tumor and the engagement of the immune system so that the immunotherapy drugs could work.
David, this is, we're only, 2 minutes in, and already it's just mind-blowing. And so considering the publication of these preclinical results in Frontiers in Immunology, what are Sona Nanotech's next steps in advancing THT towards clinical trials? And, will this peer-reviewed recognition impact potential collaborations or industry partnerships?
Right. Well, this study was important, because we put out much of this data previously last summer, I think it was. However, in life sciences and cancer research, look, these revelations effectively aren't real and aren't taken seriously until they've been seriously challenged by knowledgeable third parties and then published in a credible scientific publication. And that's what Frontiers in Immunology is very much that. So, Lindsay, we're using this as our soapbox. Now's the time for us to start telling the story, getting it out there and letting people know that. And that's not just amongst investor crowds. It's amongst the industry players. It's an important development. It's on the cutting edge. There are few who are going into direct intratumoral injections of things like this. And we want to be the first to get to market with this because it's so important. And we believe so strongly that it will transform the standard of care for humans. Now, we have preclinical data right now. If you go through that 18-page study, I promise you, if you're having trouble sleeping, you should try reading through it. It's thick chemistry stuff, but there's a reason for that. Okay, you need to have that deep science to attract the industry partners you want. They don't want to see just the results. The results are fantastic. Tumors shrink, engages the immune system, and then eliminates the tumors. Okay, that has been extraordinary in some of the cases we have seen. However, the big folks need to see not that happens, but that you understand how and why that is happening, and when it doesn't happen. You don't truly understand that therapy and that level of science. And so you dig into that 18-page report and you see that it's a very, very deep dive. So we see many conversations coming out of this, but the next step for us is to drive this into a human trial study.
Very exciting, and this is a huge step for Sona. And please join me again further to give me more updates. I would love to hear that.
Sure, I'd love to. And Lindsay, I should say that the research continues also. We move into a colorectal model right now, and we look forward to issuing results on that in the coming months. And there are other exciting developments we have because we see our uniquely biocompatible gold nanorods as being a platform technology, and we have a bunch of skunk works activities going on that we're really excited about too. But thank you for this time today.
Absolutely. Again, that was David Regan, CEO of Sona Nanotech. Their website for more information is sonanano.com. And of course, for all of your market news and to join the conversation, check out stockhouse.com. I'm Lindsay Melchuk. We'll see you next time.